Hi everybody, this is Oksana. In this video we're going to be making a cute little heart pendant, and it's fairly easy to make because it uses a bead. This is a coin bead, as you can see here. So this is a little howlite bead that I made for practice, and then this is the one that I am making in this video. It's an amethyst coin bead. So if you want to see how to make this, just keep watching. So the base wire that I'm going to be using is 20 gauge round dead soft copper, and I just have a big spool of it here that I got from riogrande.com, and I am going to use one piece of it. Let me measure it for you. It kind of depends on the size of your bead, so this might be too long for my bead, but I just don't want you guys to cut your wires too short. So it's 13 inches, and my bead, it's actually not that big. It's an amethyst. It's called a coin bead. So it's round, but it's flat, and it's about 20 millimeters, which is a little bit less than an inch. So the first thing we're gonna do with this wire is we're going to move down the wire several inches, and we're going to make a bend. So I'll go ahead and measure for you how long this ended up being. Okay, so it's about 4.5 inches, and I made this bend. And so what you want to do is just keep going with this bend, and then when it is like this and you can grab it with your pliers, you want to go ahead and squish it like this. And now we're going to make our heart shape. So when you're making the heart shape, you want to grab your wires like this. Hold on, let me try to hold it differently so you can see better. Like this. I don't know if you can see, but inside of the pliers, the wires are going this way. So you don't want to turn it and have it go like that. You want it to be like this. And then what you want to do is you just want to start bending these wires. All right, I'm going to have to hold this differently now. Start bending them down, just kind of slowly and carefully, because you're trying to make the sides kind of equal and even. And you're making the shape of a heart. That's what it ends up looking like here. So let's just flip that over. So here's our little wire end, the shorter one. It's here on the front, on the top. It's the top wire. I'm just gonna adjust it a little bit more because I feel like the other side of my heart looks a little bigger than this side. So the size of the heart, let's see if I did a good job eyeballing it here. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. You want it to be roughly the size of your bead. So that looks good to me. So what you want to do now is here where the wires cross, just hold the back wire. So this wire here, it's the longer wire end. So just hold it with your pliers right where it meets the other wire there, and bend it down like this. So now you can kind of see the shape of the heart better. And with the other wire, we're going to wrap it around. So start bending it around. Just be careful that when you do that, you don't pull on it and make the heart smaller on that side. So what I like to do is I like to kind of squish it with my pliers so that I don't accidentally pull on it too much when I wrap. Like that kind of helps me but do it whatever way works for you. So it's going around, and now it's gone all the way around. So I'm just gonna trim it now and leave myself just a short little wire end. I don't wanna completely trim it with no wire end, because then the wire will be exposed here at the front, and this will be the front of our pendant. And so our wire end, because I cut it and there it is, the little short wire end, it's gonna end up being on the side. So I'm gonna squish it down, and here from the front, it's hidden. You can't see or feel it because it's here on the edge on the side. So what you wanna do now is you wanna determine the front and the back of your beads. So I'm gonna do mine like this. This is how I want it to look. So once I've determined that, I'm gonna hold it in that position, and I'm gonna take this heart. So this is the front of the heart. This is the back. So I'm gonna have the back facing me, and I'm gonna slide the wire through the bead. Oh, it seems kind of stuck there a little bit. There we go. And so, it flipped over. So the back of the heart is facing me. Gonna slide it up, and then we're gonna push it onto the stone. So now we see the front of the heart, which is what we want to see, and our stone is positioned how we wanted the front of the stone to be. So there we go. So what we're gonna do now is take some round nose pliers. So we're gonna hold with just the skinny little tips here, the wire here in the front, and we're gonna bend it towards ourselves, and then we're gonna take the pliers now on the wider portion, and we're gonna bend the wire around the wider portion of our round nose pliers here to make a loop like this. Now you can kind of fix the loop. Mine was tilted back a little bit there. And now I'm gonna take my regular pliers. I'm gonna hold the loop like this, and then I'm gonna take the end of the wire and I'm gonna wrap it around and around. So just completely around, and then I'm gonna squish it just to make sure that that's nice and tight there. So just with my normal regular pliers, just give it a good squish there, and then just my bail as well. All right, so that all looks good. So what we're gonna do now is, with this wire end, we're just gonna start lifting it up, and we wanna make a circle, like a little circular loop or swirl. Like this, just a small one like this. So it's going around, around, around. And you can use your pliers if you need to kind of get in there. Sometimes it's kind of hard since it's so tiny to try and keep everything kind of centered and nice. So there we go. So now, so I do have a little bit of excess wire here. You want to leave yourself maybe like an inch and then cut it, because it's easier to work with just a short little wire end rather than a really long one. Because what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that wire end and we're gonna turn it and put it through the bail. So I'm holding this here because I don't want to just pull on this wire really hard and move everything out of place. So instead of pulling on the wire, I'm guiding the wire kind of slowly and gently here with my pliers, just guiding it through. And then let me open that up. So there it is, going through the bail. I want it to come here to the front, so I'm just giving it a little squish. Here it is, and now a little squish this way, so it's wrapped completely around the bail. Let me straighten that back out. So this still looks good. We still have our swirl that hasn't gotten discombobulated, and so we've got this little wire end here. And what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to cut it and leave myself a little bit of space, so like this, because I want to make a little decorative swirl with the wire end here. So I left myself a little bit, just enough to swirl, and then I'm taking my round nose pliers, and the way that I make my swirls is I like to get that little end of the wire in here and just kind of squish it flat. But however you make your swirls is just do it that way. And so then once I've done that, I'm going ahead and I'm just curving that just around and around. It helps to have nice fine round nose pliers that have a nice fine tip if you want to make a tiny little swirl like mine. Otherwise it might have to be slightly bigger. So now that I've made it, I am just adjusting it a little bit, just kind of squishing it with my pliers so it looks good, because it was looking kind of oval, not round, so I just gave it a little squish there, trying to adjust it. All right, so everything looks fine now. Here's what we have. So the thing about this heart is it's not attached to anything here at the top. So say it gets caught on like clothing or hair, it can come off. See, like it's just completely loose. So we want to make an attachment and use another wire to connect the top of the heart. So the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to use some 26 gauge round wire. It's just a thin wire. So cut yourself a little piece, about like 5 inches should be adequate. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that wire, I'm going to put it underneath, I'm going to pull it out maybe like 1/3 through, leave some more here, and I'm going to wrap it around using my pliers around this wire on this side of the heart here. So every time I do that, you can see it makes a little wrap. So I've got 3 little wraps, maybe like 5. 5 should be good. All right, so that's looking good to me. So now you just want to get in here and you want to trim that wire end nice and short in there, because you don't want it peeking through or sticking out in any way. So there's my little wire end. Just gonna, can't even reach it. There we go, kind of squished it down a little bit. And what you want to do now is you want to hold this little wrap that you made with your pliers, because you don't want it to move when you're doing this next part. And this next part is taking this other wire, or the other end of the same wire, and raising it up, because this is the direction we need it to go. And if you didn't hold it, it would have like twisted the whole thing, and then maybe your wire end would have ended up on the front. So there we go. Now the positioning's perfect, the wire's going in the right direction. So I like to use a little bead. So I just looked through my box of random little beads, and I found I have a bunch of these little faceted beads, and I got one that's a pink color. It's just a tiny little bead, whatever you think would look good or match in color with your design, with your heart and the stone that you're using. And also the size of the bead, so that it looks good here in this like little space that you have. So what I'm gonna do with this wire is I'm gonna put it through this loop here. Now be careful because you have the loop, but then you also have the bail. So don't put it through like through the bail. Put it just through the loop, if that makes sense. Let me zoom in. Oop, too much zooming in. There we go. So this is the loop and my wire is going just here on the edge of this loop. All right, and then you just pull that through. Zoom out just a little bit. There we go. Got like a little bend in it, but it's fine. Okay, so now we want to wrap this wire so it's here in the back now because it's going through the loop. We want to wrap it around just this little edge wire of the loop. Again, be careful, not the bail. You don't want it going around the bail or anything. Just here, this little edge wire. Sorry, I have to cover it with my fingers so I can kind of pull tight here. And just go ahead and do that a bunch of times. Make a bunch of little loops, and we just want it to have a nice strong connection. So that's why you want to do it several times. If you want, you can match what we did here in terms of how many of these little loops that you do. I'm just trying to get to the top of this wire. Like I want enough loops so they don't just kind of end in the middle, but they go all the way up this whole edge. But it's up to you what you do. And just be careful it doesn't get all crisscrossed. All right, so I don't think I'm gonna be able to get many more there. So here's my wire, and I'm gonna trim it and leave a little end like this so that I can take my pliers and I can get in here, and I'm gonna push that wire end into the loop. So pushing it in. So we've pushed it out of the way, we've hidden the wire end away, and now, oh, wrong direction. And now our heart is attached to our bail right here. So if it gets caught on something, I mean, obviously it is, you know, wire wrapped piece, which tend to be a little more fragile in terms of jewelry. So if you do yank this really hard, it'll still come out of place, but it's not gonna, you know, just easily, like if you go like this with your finger, it's not gonna move because you've attached it. And there we go. Here's our little amethyst heart pendant. I hope you enjoyed. And I just want to show you real quick. I made this. This was my little practice one I made. Just what it looks like on a different stone. This is a howlite coin bead. And another fun thing you might want to see is before I made these, I made this, and the heart was really small. And so instead of putting the swirls kind of here on the bail, I just swirled this wire down and attached it here. But I think that makes the bail just look really, just really plain and simple. And I think that this is kind of fancier looking, especially because we have a little bead here. Thank you so much for watching, and if you liked this video, please subscribe. I post new wire wrapping tutorials every weekend. I'll see you next time.